You ever wonder why some pain just sticks with you? Like, no matter how much time passes, it still shows up in your body, your reactions, or your relationships? That's trauma. And most of us carry it without even realizing it. It's not always about tragic events, sometimes it's the quiet stuff that builds up over years. Today, we're breaking down the 7 levels of trauma, from everyday stress to the kind of collective pain that shapes whole generations. And trust me, level 7 is the one people rarely talk about, but really should. Level 1. Acute stress trauma. Trauma is basically what happens when something hits you so hard your mind and body don't know how to file it away. It's that leftover energy, fear, shame, or shock that never really got processed. You move on, but a part of you still flinches. It's not just in your head, it's in your reactions, your tone, your silence. Simply put, trauma is your body remembering what your mind tried to forget. Let's start light, or as light as trauma can get. Acute stress trauma happens when something sudden shakes your sense of safety, like a car accident, losing a job, a breakup, or even witnessing a violent event. It's short-term, but the impact can feel massive. According to the American Psychological Association, around 6 to 8% of adults in the US experience acute stress reactions each year. That's millions of people suddenly thrown off balance by shock or fear. The most common symptoms include anxiety, irritability, insomnia, racing thoughts, and difficulty concentrating. Your body's in fight or flight mode, flooded with cortisol. In worst cases, people spiral into panic attacks, intense emotional outbursts, or obsessive worrying. The good news? Treatment is often short-term and highly effective. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, grounding techniques, mindfulness, and even light medication can help restore calm. Experts emphasize catching it early, before it hardens into long-term trauma like PTSD. It's about giving your body permission to relax again, reminding your brain that the danger has passed. As psychiatrist Bessel van der Kolk beautifully said, "The body keeps the score. If you don't deal with trauma, it deals with you." Sometimes healing starts with simply naming what happened and letting your system breathe again. Level 2. Secondary or vicarious trauma. This one's sneaky because you don't even have to go through the trauma yourself to feel it. Secondary or vicarious trauma affects people who witness, hear, or absorb others' pain, like nurses, therapists, first responders, journalists, or even close friends supporting someone in distress. According to global research, up to 50% of caregivers and health professionals experience some level of this indirect trauma. It's empathy overload. Your nervous system starts reacting as if the trauma happened to you. Common symptoms include emotional exhaustion, numbness, nightmares, detachment, and a growing sense of cynicism. You might feel drained, anxious, or constantly on edge. Over time, empathy turns to fatigue, and in worst-case scenarios, it can lead to compassion collapse, where the brain literally shuts down emotional connection to protect itself. The treatment? Relearning emotional boundaries, seeking therapy or supervision, and joining peer support groups where others understand this kind of burnout. Self-care isn't selfish here. It's survival. The key is to refill your emotional tank before it runs dry. As Brené Brown perfectly put it, empathy without boundaries is self-destruction. Remember, helping others starts with learning how to help yourself first. Level 3. Cumulative or micro-trauma. This level doesn't crash into your life. It creeps in quietly. Cumulative or micro-trauma is death by 1,000 paper cuts. It's not one big event, but a collection of small emotional bruises that slowly wear you down. Like chronic criticism, workplace stress, or constantly feeling unappreciated. Maybe it's growing up in a home where you were never truly seen, or being told to toughen up again and again. Over time, those tiny emotional hits accumulate and start to change how you see yourself and others. In the US, studies show nearly 70% of adults experience ongoing microstressors that mimic trauma responses. Common symptoms include low self-worth, irritability, emotional fatigue, burnout, and a sense of numbness. Your nervous system is constantly on low alert, never resting, never resetting. In worst cases, it can trigger PTSD-like symptoms, such as dissociation or sudden breakdowns. Healing begins with awareness, noticing the tiny hurts instead of brushing them off. Therapy, journaling, rest, and setting micro-boundaries are crucial steps. The treatment is about learning to slow down and listen to your emotional body again. As Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Awareness is always the first medicine. Level 4. Developmental trauma. This one runs deep, the kind that starts before you even realize it's happening. Developmental trauma forms in childhood, during the years your brain learns what love, safety, and trust feel like. When a child grows up with neglect, emotional unavailability, or inconsistent parenting, their brain wires itself for survival, not safety. According to the CDC's ACEA, Adverse Childhood Experiences study, about 61% of adults worldwide faced at least one form of developmental trauma. That's more than half the planet walking around with emotional scars from childhood. Symptoms show up in adult life as attachment issues, trust problems, emotional dysregulation, or a constant fear of abandonment. In severe cases, it can evolve into personality disorders, chronic anxiety, or relationship addiction, always searching for the love you didn't get early on. Healing this type of trauma takes time and compassionate patience. It involves long-term therapy, inner child work, and sometimes somatic or trauma-informed treatments that help rebuild emotional safety from the inside out. You can't rush it, you nurture it. As therapist Pete Walker beautifully puts it, you can't heal developmental trauma with willpower. You heal it with patience and love. Healing means reparenting yourself with the care you once needed. If you're serious about understanding how the mind works, not just surface-level stuff, but what actually shapes how we think and feel, then hit subscribe to Better Brain Days. Every week, we break down the psychology behind real human experiences. The kind that don't always get talked about, but honestly, should. Level 5. Complex trauma, CPTSD. Complex trauma, or CPTSD, isn't caused by one moment. It's built over years of being unsafe. It often comes from prolonged abuse, neglect, or captivity, whether physical, emotional, or institutional. This type of trauma rewires the brain to expect danger, even when it's gone. Globally, studies estimate that over 3% of adults live with symptoms of CPTSD, though many never get diagnosed. The symptoms go far beyond anxiety. People experience flashbacks, hypervigilance, chronic shame, and emotional shutdowns. Some even lose their sense of identity, a survival mechanism known as dissociation. Your mind learns to split to protect itself from unbearable pain. In worst cases, it leads to self-isolation, memory gaps, and emotional numbness. Treatment is delicate and gradual. It's not about reliving the pain, but reintegrating safely. The most effective methods include trauma-focused therapy, EMDR, eye movement desensitization, and reprocessing, somatic experiencing, and building safe relationships. Healing can't happen in a vacuum. It requires connection and compassion. As trauma expert Judith Herman wisely said, recovery can take place only within the context of relationships. It cannot occur in isolation. Healing begins when you finally find safety in yourself and others. Level 6. Intergenerational trauma. Here's where trauma transcends time. Intergenerational trauma is pain that didn't start with you. It's inherited through families, cultures, or entire communities. Think war, migration, colonialism, poverty, or systemic oppression. Science now confirms that trauma can alter DNA expression, meaning its effects can literally be passed down for generations. In the US, this type of trauma is especially observed among indigenous, African American, and immigrant populations still carrying the emotional residues of their ancestors' suffering. Common symptoms include chronic anxiety, mistrust, identity confusion, emotional volatility, and self-sabotaging patterns. You may find yourself reliving pain you don't fully understand, repeating emotional scripts inherited from your family story. In worst-case scenarios, families unconsciously recreate cycles of pain, never realizing its history echoing through behavior. Healing requires collective work. It's not just personal therapy, it's family dialogue, community reconnection, and cultural reclamation. Somatic therapy, storytelling, and ancestral healing practices help reframe generational pain into strength. As the powerful saying goes, it didn't start with you, but it can end with you. You may carry your ancestors' wounds, but you can also carry their resilience. Level 7. Existential or collective trauma. This is the heaviest layer. the trauma we experience together as humanity. Existential or collective trauma stems from global crises, pandemics, wars, climate grief, mass violence, or deep societal collapse. It's that shared ache that makes people feel hopeless about the world or numb toward the future. According to the World Health Organization, nearly 1 in 3 people worldwide experienced heightened anxiety or depression after the COVID-19 pandemic, proof of just how interconnected our pain can be. Symptoms include emotional numbness, apathy, social withdrawal, and existential dread, that quiet fear that nothing really matters anymore. In extreme cases, people lose all sense of purpose or belonging. But collective wounds need collective healing. Treatment lies in reconnection, rebuilding meaning through community, activism, spirituality, or creative expression. Healing at this level means finding your why again, even in chaos. Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl said it best: "Those who have a reason to live can bear almost any how. In a world full of shared suffering, rediscovering meaning isn't just recovery, it's resistance." So yeah, trauma's messy, but it's not the end of the story. Everyone's carrying something, some people just hide it better. The cool part is, once you actually understand it, you stop letting it run the show. If this hits home, drop a like, maybe share it with someone who'd get it. And don't forget to subscribe to Better Brain Days. We've got more real talks coming your way.